The moment I opened my apartment door, I sensed a presence that didn't belong. It was colder than the November air that had chased me up the stairs, colder than any draft from the cracked window in the hallway. My keys jangled in my hand, but the sound felt muted, as if the room was swallowing it, and then I saw him. He was sitting on the edge of my sofa, motionless, perfectly still, like a shadow sculpted into human form. Pale, impossibly pale, his skin seemed to drink in the dim light of the overhead bulb, reflecting none of it. His eyes were a shade of red that made my stomach twist deep, glimmering, intelligent red, like molten garnet in a storm. He didn't rise, he didn't smile. He didn't even blink, but I knew, somehow, that he had been watching me for hours, maybe days, maybe weeks. "You're late," he said, his voice soft, almost a caress, yet carrying a weight that pressed down on my chest. I froze, my mind scrambled. Who was he? How did he get in? My apartment was supposed to be safe. I reached for my phone, but it slipped from my fingers like it had been coated in oil. He caught it before it hit the floor. "Relax," he murmured. His long fingers too long, almost skeletal, wrapped around the device. "I'm not here to hurt you. Who are you? How did you get in?" I managed, my voice shaking, betraying more fear than I wanted to admit. He tilted his head, a faint smirk curling his thin lips. "Do you really think doors and locks can keep me out?" His gaze swept the room as if he already knew its every corner, every hidden object, every secret I had buried. Something cold slithered up my spine. My secrets, all of them, the thought made my pulse thunder. I had lived alone for months, certain no one could breach my carefully constructed life. And yet here he was, a vampire, yes, a vampire in my house. And he knew things, terrible, private, unspoken things. Why me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, though my body screamed at me to run, to escape. He stood, fluidly, like a shadow stretching into human form. He was impossibly tall, taller than any man I'd ever seen, his frame lithe but deadly in its quiet power. I noticed his teeth for the first time, fangs that glimmered faintly, sharp enough to puncture skin without effort. And his eyes still red, still molten, never left mine. "You," he said, and the single word carried more weight than 1,000 explanations, "have something worth knowing." I stumbled backward, knocking into the kitchen counter. "I don't understand. What do you mean?" He advanced, slow, deliberate. The sound of his footsteps was non-existent, yet I could feel the pressure of him closing the distance, as if the room itself was funneling me toward him. My mind raced through escape options, but they all seemed laughably futile. My body wanted to run, but my legs felt rooted to the floor. "You think your life is private," he said, his voice sliding around me like smoke. "You think the walls protect you, that the locks keep secrets safe. But everything you hide, I can see, everything you fear. I can smell." I choked back a scream. My chest heaved, panic clawing at my throat. "What do you want from me?" His smirk widened, sharp teeth glinting. "I want nothing. I only observe." For now, his eyes darted toward the corner of the living room. Though some things tempt me, the air shifted. It was thicker now, heavy with anticipation, the room shrinking around us, compressing my very lungs. I felt like a small prey animal trapped in the den of a predator whose intellect outmatched my own by leagues. And yet, I couldn't look away. I couldn't escape the pull of those eyes, hypnotic and predatory, drawing me into a truth I wasn't ready to face. You know everything about me," I said, almost a question. "Everything," he confirmed, "the mistakes, the lies, the secrets you've tried to bury. I see them all, I hear them all, and I remember." I backed toward the door, hand trembling as it hovered over the lock. Then why are you here? Why not do whatever it is vampires do?" He chuckled, a sound that was both amused and cruel. "Because tonight." "I am curious." He stepped closer, and I could feel the brush of his aura, cold and intoxicating. Curiosity is a dangerous thing, don't you think? I swallowed hard. My pulse pounded in my ears. I don't want trouble, I stammered. He crouched suddenly, quick as a cat, until his face was level with mine. He tilted his head, inspecting me like a collector appraising a rare piece. Trouble, no, trouble finds you, whether you invite it or not. But you might be worth my attention. That alone is dangerous. A shiver ran down my spine. I noticed then the subtle, terrifying elegance in his movements. Every gesture was precise, predatory, calculated. I realized, with an icy dread, that he could kill me in a heartbeat and leave no trace. Yet he didn't. I don't understand, I whispered. You know my secrets, but you're here. Yes, he said, straightening slowly, towering over me once more. Because I want to see how you handle fear. Because I want to see the truth of you, unfiltered. Most people hide from me, you. You're different. I stumbled back again, almost falling, and for a split second, I saw myself through his eyes, exposed, vulnerable, trembling. It was unbearable, and yet there was an unexplainable pull toward him, an attraction I hated and feared at the same time. You shouldn't be here, I said, trying to regain some semblance of control, my hand gripping the counter like a lifeline. And yet I am, he said softly. His gaze softened just a fraction, enough to make my stomach tighten. And you can't make me leave. Not yet. The room seemed to contract, the shadows growing longer, twisting around him, twisting around me. I could hear my own heartbeat, rapid and wild, echoing in the silence he had imposed. What do you want from me? I asked again, voice breaking. He tilted his head, studying me with that impossible gaze. I want to see what happens when a person knows I can see everything. I want to see if the fear changes you, if it bends you, or if it ignites something you didn't know existed. Do you understand? I shook my head, though the truth of it sank into me like ice. I did understand. I understood too well, you. You're dangerous, I whispered, my throat tight. I am, he said, stepping back just enough to give the illusion of distance. But danger is not always death. Sometimes it's revelation. And tonight, revelation will come. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. I wanted to disappear, but my legs refused to obey. My mind refused to accept the reality before me. I realized in a horrible, awe-filled instant that I had invited this somehow, unknowingly. Some part of me had always known he would come. And then he smiled. Not the predatory, vain smile I had expected. This was something slower, more deliberate, like a puzzle assembling itself before me. And in that smile, I saw the promise of nightmares and truths that I had never imagined. Don't be afraid, he said. You can't hide from me, and you. We'll learn that fear is only the beginning. The words echoed in my ears long after he turned and sat again, posture perfect, as never leaving me. I knew, as I backed toward the door, that nothing would ever be the same. And then, as I fumbled for my keys, I realized the most terrifying truth. I had no idea what he knew, or how he knew it, but whatever it was personal. Something inside me clenched. The apartment no longer felt like mine. Every shadow, every whisper of the wind against the window felt like a prelude to revelation. And I knew horrifyingly, irresistibly, that my secrets were no longer mine to keep. The vampire in my house knew all my secrets, and I had no idea what he would do with them. Sleep didn't come that night, not fully. I lay on my bed, every muscle taut. Every sound amplified the hum of the refrigerator, the distant siren wailing somewhere in the city, even the soft rustle of the curtains in the slight breeze, and always the presence. He hadn't moved from the living room. I could feel him. Not just feel him, but see him in my mind, as though his eyes could pierce walls, doors, even the thin veil of darkness that separated us. At some point, I heard a soft creak. My eyes snapped open. He was there. Sitting on the edge of the bed now, impossibly silent, a shadow among shadows, the faint red of his eyes cutting through the dim light like liquid fire. "You're restless," he said, voice low, almost amused. I can't sleep," I admitted, my throat dry. "Why are you still here?" He leaned back slightly, crossing one leg over the other, his posture unnaturally relaxed for someone who could crush me with a single hand. "Because," he said slowly, "rest is for those who don't have truths gnawing at them." "And you have many," I flinched. "I don't understand." "What do you want from me? Understanding comes later," he replied, his gaze moving over me, sharp, piercing. "First comes acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that you're not as safe as you think. That your life, your secrets, your very mind are laid bare before me." My stomach churned. This is insane. "You can't just know things. That's impossible." His smile was thin, but it carried the weight of inevitability. "Impossible. You still cling to impossibilities. But everything you've hidden, your fears, your desires, the moments you've tried to forget, they are mine now. Mine to observe, mine to judge, and tonight, mine to challenge." I felt my pulse spike. "Challenge? What do you mean?" He rose then, suddenly, so fast that my head spun. I stumbled back, heart hammering, and he stopped inches from me, towering like a predator over prey. "You live in denial," he said, voice dripping with cold amusement. "You tell yourself the past is gone, that the mistakes are buried. But denial is fragile. I can break it. I can make you face every secret you've ever tried to hide." I wanted to run, to escape, to push him out the door, but my body froze. Something about the weight of his stare, the quiet power that radiated from him, held me immobile. My mind raced, trying to find a rational explanation. I told myself it was a dream, a hallucination. Anything that could make the terror make sense. "Why me?" I whispered again. "Why not someone else? Because you." His voice dropped to a whisper, dragging across the edge of my consciousness. "You are interesting, fragile, yes, but strong in ways you refuse to acknowledge. You lie to yourself as easily as you breathe, and that fascinates me." A sudden surge of fear and confusion twisted through me. "You know things, intimate things that no one should ever know." "How? Why?" He crouched slightly, tilting his head. "You'll see," he said, voice like velvet wrapped around steel. "All in due time. But first, a test." My stomach tightened. "A test? What kind of test?" He stepped closer, and the air seemed to grow heavier, thicker. I could feel the cold radiating off him, like a living frost creeping over my skin. "A test of courage, a test of honesty, a test of the very limits of your fear." I wanted to protest, to scream, but my throat constricted. I knew in the deepest part of me that there was no escaping him, no bargaining at all. "Stand," he commanded. I obeyed, my legs stiff. The moment I rose, he circled me, slow, deliberate, like a hunter studying the movements of prey. Every angle, every reaction, every twitch of fear, every subtle flinch, he saw it. Cataloged it, judged it. "You hide behind lies," he said softly. "Small lies, large lies, lies to friends, lies to lovers, lies to yourself. But I see the truth behind them all, and tonight. You will face it." My chest tightened. I can't." "You can," he interrupted sharply, his voice cutting through the room like a whip. "You must, or the consequences will be worse than fear itself." I shivered. His presence was suffocating now, pressing against my very mind. I felt exposed, stripped bare, my most private thoughts laid out as if on a display. Every regret, every shame, every hidden longing, it burned in my chest as I realized he didn't just know them. He remembered every detail, every slip of the tongue, every tear shed in secret. I stammered, my hands trembling. "You've been watching me." "Yes," he said simply. "And not just watching, understanding, remembering, learning. Every lie you've told yourself, I know. Every mask you wear, I can see beneath it. Every secret, already mine. The room darkened around me, though the light had not changed. Shadows stretched unnaturally, twisting around him as if alive. A low hum vibrated in the air, subtle at first, then rising, echoing in my skull. My head spun. "What do you want from me?" I gasped, clutching my temples. "Truth," he said, eyes glowing faintly. "Absolute, unflinching truth, or something worse will be forced upon you." A cold sweat broke over my body. Worse. What could be worse? He tilted his head, stunning me with a predator's curiosity. "Losing control, losing yourself, letting your fears consume you. I will guide you, but you must walk willingly or the path will be crueler than you can imagine." I felt panic rising, uncontrollable. "I don't understand. I can't do this alone." "You are never alone," he said softly, "because I'm here, watching, waiting, knowing, and tonight. You will discover that some truths cannot be hidden, not even from me." He stepped back suddenly, disappearing into the shadows. My eyes darted around, trying to locate him, trying to make sense of the space. But he reappeared, closer, his eyes catching the dim light, gleaming with a dangerous promise. And then he spoke, words that made my blood run cold. "Open the drawer." "The one you never want anyone to see." I froze, heart hammering. That drawer. The drawer in my desk I had locked every day for years. The drawer that held the proof of every failure, every betrayal, every secret too terrible to speak aloud. I swallowed hard. "I can't. You can't make me." "I already have," he said softly, but the weight in his tone made it undeniable. "I don't need force. Fear is enough. Obedience comes from knowing there is no escape." I moved toward the drawer as if in a trance, hands shaking violently. The key sat on the top of the desk, as if mocking me. I picked it up, my fingers trembling, and inserted it into the lock. The click echoed like thunder in the silent room. He circled me again, silent, patient, his eyes never leaving mine. I opened the drawer, and inside, the contents glowed with the weight of my sins. Letters, photographs, journals, fragments of my past I had tried desperately to erase. Every secret laid bare. He leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "Do you see? You cannot hide from yourself." "And you cannot hide from me." A scream rose in my throat, but it died before leaving my lips. I realized, with a horror I couldn't deny, that this night would change everything. Nothing could be the same again. And as he reached out, not to touch, but to claim knowledge, I felt the world shift. A cold certainty settled over me, icy and final. He had come not to destroy me, not yet, but to reveal, to expose. And the revelation waiting for me would be more than I could endure. "Some secrets," he whispered, eyes gleaming with fire, "are better left buried. But yours are not. Yours belong to me now." I stumbled back, a wave of nausea and fear crashing over me, and the shadows seemed to swallow the room, wrapping around him, wrapping around me. I realized, in the deepest part of my soul, that the night had only just begun. And the vampire in my house knew everything. I pressed my hand to my mouth, heart pounding in terror. And then, from the depths of the drawer, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A photograph I never remembered taking, a letter I had never written, a secret so buried it shouldn't exist. And his eyes, they glimmered with something I didn't yet understand. Something that promised the end of innocence and the beginning of truths I wasn't ready for. The air in the apartment was thick with tension, every shadow sharper than before, every sound amplified as if the room itself was alive. I could feel him before I saw him, his presence crawling over my skin like ice, yet impossibly magnetic. My pulse hammered in my ears, and my hands shook uncontrollably as I faced the vampire whose eyes had seen everything I had tried to hide. He stepped from the shadows, tall, impossibly huge, a figure of raw power in the dim light. His white garment gleamed faintly, ethereal and unsettling, making him seem larger than life, more myth than man. The faint glow of his eyes seemed to pierce through my very soul. "Do you understand now?" he asked, voice low but commanding. "Do you understand what I see, I swallowed hard. I see. You see everything. All my secrets, my mistakes, my fears. Everything, yes, he said simply, stepping closer, each movement precise, predatory, yet strangely deliberate. Everything, nothing escapes me, but do not fear only for what you have done. Fear what could happen if you fail to face the truth now. I shook, but the fear was mixed with a strange determination. I realized I had no choice, no bargaining, no escape. Every lie, every hidden thought, every memory I had tried to bury, he knew it all. And somehow, I had to confront him, or be consumed by it. He gestured to the drawer I had opened the night before. Inside were the fragments of my life, letters, photographs, diaries. One item of photograph glowed, and naturally, like it held a life of its own. I picked it up with trembling hands. Do you remember this? He asked, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. I stared. The photograph showed me with a man I had loved and betrayed in secret. Memories I had tried to erase, promises broken, truths hidden even from myself, all laid bare. My chest constricted as the magnitude of exposure hit me. How do you know this? I whispered, voice breaking. He smiled, a thin, terrifying smile. I do not merely know. I remember. I see what you cannot. I observe not to punish, but to reveal. To show you that secrets cannot hide from truth, and truths cannot hide from me. My heart raced. What do you want from me? Not what you think, he said, his tone deepening. I want your acceptance, your confrontation. You cannot continue hiding. The lies you tell yourself are dangerous. The secrets you clutch are weapons pointed at yourself. I felt a strange heat rise inside me, not fear, not relief, but something unnameable. And if I fail? He stepped closer, and I could feel the weight of him pressing into the room, an almost gravitational pull. Then you will be consumed, not by me, by the truth you refuse to face. I exist to guide, to test, to reveal. Not to destroy unless necessary. I gritted my teeth, determination mingling with terror. Then, I accept. I face it. For the first time, his expression softened not entirely, but enough to show a flicker of approval. He gestured toward the scattered letters and photographs. Then begin. Examine them. Confront each fragment of yourself, and do not flinch. I did. I picked up the letters, each word slicing into my memory, exposing betrayal, weakness, fear, longing. Each photograph was a mirror to my soul, reflecting moments I had tried to forget. He watched silently, a shadow beside me, his gaze both merciless and protective. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time seemed suspended. I confronted every memory, every secret, every truth I had tried to escape. And with each acknowledgement, I felt something shift inside me, a strange liberation, a frightening clarity. Finally, I collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. The vampire knelt beside me, his massive frame towering yet protective. His eyes glimmered like fire and ice. You have faced yourself, he said. And in doing so, you have survived, not merely survived, but begun to understand what it means to live without pretense. I nodded, trembling, unable to speak. The weight of revelation pressed on me, yet it was tempered by a new understanding of fragile, dangerous, exhilarating understanding. Do you see now? He asked softly, voice like velvet. Do you see that fear is a mirror, that secrets, when confronted, lose their power over you? I nodded again, tears slipping freely. I see it all. He rose then, towering over me once more, his presence immense, almost godlike. Good, remember this night. Remember that the vampire who knows your secrets is not always your enemy. Sometimes. I am the catalyst for your survival, your awakening, a moment of silence stretched between us. Then, quietly, impossibly fast, he moved to the door, as though the room itself had granted him passage. Will you leave now? I asked, my voice hoarse, uncertain. He paused, turning his head slightly. I will leave, but I will return if necessary. You have made progress, but the world does not forgive those who hide from truth. Remember that." And then he was gone. The apartment felt impossibly empty, the air lighter, yet charged with a strange energy as if the room itself remembered him. My secrets were still mine, yet exposed, yet powerless against the awareness I now carried. I sank onto the bed, chest heaving, mind racing. The fear had not vanished entirely, but it had transformed into clarity, into understanding, into a trembling, fragile strength. And in the silence, I knew one thing: I had survived. I had faced the vampire who knew all my secrets. And somehow, despite terror, despite revelation, despite the impossible presence of him, I was free. The night outside was silent now, yet I could feel it, life moving forward, moments passing, truths waiting to be confronted. And somewhere out there, a presence lingered, not threatening, but watchful, teaching, reminding. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in months, I felt a fragile peace. The vampire had revealed the ultimate truth, that secrets, no matter how carefully buried, are powerless against acknowledgement, against confrontation, against courage. And I had courage now.